Well, if you've been following me for the last few days, we've been addressing the topic of status, state citizenship, nationals. We've gone over how the Supreme Court defines the United States according to Congress, 3 different definitions of the United States. We've been talking about the IRC code. We've been talking about Title 26. We've been talking about Title 27. We've been talking about Title 8. And the reason that I'm doing these videos is to help you guys understand and comprehend what you have unwittingly, unknowingly subjected yourselves to. Okay? Freedom isn't free. I'm not the most intelligent man in the world. If you piss on my back and try and convince me it's raining, and I look over my shoulder and I see your dicky-doo hanging out, your dicky-doo's going to be in the dirt. We're going to have some problems, all right? And if you have that kind of mentality, the same mentality I have, of taking zero shit from anybody, then we're of the same sentiment, right? I do not, as I stated earlier, I do not have zero tolerance for unjustified ass chewings. Zero. None. I just flat out will not fucking put up with it. And you should probably be of the same mindset, especially when people are accusing you of being certain things or having a certain status. It may behoove you to assert yourself, declare your status, and tell them to stick their opinion where the sun doesn't shine, all right? I've been doing a lot of research about the Quo Warranto as of lately. I really can appreciate that ancient writ of Quo Warranto. By what authority? By what warrant of authority? Where's your warrant of attorney to administer anything on behalf of myself or for anybody else for that matter? Where is it? Produce it. Where's your oath of office? Where's your bond? Where's your delegation of appointment? Your delegation of authority, right? Where's your warrant of attorney? Do you actually fill the office that you purport to represent? Or you were an imposter in office just acting as a judge or acting as a clerk of the court? I mean, these are all very relevant subject matters, okay? I mean, for Pete's sake, when they take the bench, they flat out tell you, oh, I'm the honorable so-and-so acting as the judge today. They fucking put it right in your face that they're acting, all right? So, this evening, just a short video. I've been asked to make my videos shorter. People's attention span naturally is not as long as it once was, and they're saying, hey, if you could just get to the point, make your points, and be real short on your videos. So that's what the future holds for the viewing audience. They're going to be shorter videos, just straight to the fucking point, because let's be honest, nobody's got time to beat around the fucking bush anymore. 4 types of American nationals, okay, that are recognized by the de facto government. There are 4 types. 1, statutory national and citizen of the United States. Okay, this falls under Title 28, 3002, 15A. It's territories, it's federal enclaves, federal territories, Guam, Samoa, the Outer Minor Line Islands. Believe it or not, even Washington, D.C. is considered a territory, okay? At birth, statutory U.S. citizen. Okay, we're going to go through the 4 types of nationals that are recognized. 1.1, a civil status because it uses the word citizen and is therefore tied to a geographical place. Okay, we're talking about statutory nationals now, where the civil statutory law applies because they have volunteered to be subject to the It's funny, my internet's been working great all night. Now all of a sudden it's going to shit. Pretty amazing. 1.1, a civil status, and remember, civil status comes under civil statutory law, and if you're subject to civil statutory law because you were presumed and assumed to be a United States citizen, you are governed by Congress and the legislator. Remember, when man created government, the object of man creating government was to protect its rights and to govern commerce, not man. They have no authority to create statutes, codes, city ordinances, rules, and regulations that apply to us, the man, all right? But if you call yourself a U.S. citizen, well, then you're subject to the whims of a bunch of douchebags who are career criminals and by their policy because you are considered to hold an office. You are presumed and assumed to hold an office, which means you are subject to their edicts, all right? And you are not fucking free at that point. So, statutory national and citizen of the United States at birth, statutory U.S. citizen, 1.1, 1.1, a civil status because it uses the word citizen and is therefore tied to a geographical place. 1.2, a statutory privilege. Remember, if it's a fucking privilege, it has been bestowed upon you by a group of men, okay? And if it has been bestowed upon you as a privilege, that privilege can be taken away. Kind of like daddy giving you the keys to the car on Friday night. If you don't do what he says throughout the week, you don't do your chores, you don't rake the yard, you don't wash the dishes, you don't feed the cows, you don't milk the cows, you don't feed the chickens, guess what? Your Friday night, Scooter, is going to suck because you ain't getting the keys to the car to take your pretty little girlfriend on a date, all right? The statutory privilege status defined and found in Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1401 in the implementing regulations of the Internal Revenue Code at Title 26 CFR subsection 1.1-1C and in most other federal statutes. 1.3, again, we're talking about a statutory national, okay, who owes an allegiance to the federal corporation, the District of Columbia of Crooks. 1.3 is born in the federal zone, must inhabit the District of Columbia and the territories and possessions of the United States identified in Title 48 of the U.S. Code. 1.4, subject to the police power of the federal government and all the acts of Congress. Again, this is a statutory national, okay? 1.5, treated as a citizen of the municipal government of the District of Columbia, identified as a district of criminals under Title 28, 3002, 15A. See Title 26, USC, subsection 7701A39, okay? 1.6, have no common law rights. Remember, when you subject yourself to the district of fucking criminals and blatant fucking idiots, you have waived your rights for privileges, all right? Because there is no federal common law. See Jones versus Mayer, Mayer, 392 U.S. 409 at 1798. 1.7. Also called federal U.S. citizen. Okay, the U.S. Is the DOD militarized form of government. Okay, the United States is the Title 28, 3002, 15A federal corporation, but a U.S. citizen throughout this document. Okay, 1.8. Owe allegiance to the government of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, a federal corporation, okay, A, B, and C, very clear, lays it out. It's territory, so you're either part of its territory or not. So when you claim to be a U.S. citizen, even though, let's say, you're in the middle of bumfuck Egypt in, let's just say, somewhere in Nebraska in the Sandhills, they have the ability to reach out and touch you where you don't like to be touched because they have a right to govern their citizens, okay? They're citizens. Now, let's remind you that under Title 18, 9/11, which is 9/11, coincidentally enough, the falling of a nation, the falling of towers, everything leads to Babylon, right? Under Title 18, subsection 9/11, I believe it, if my recollection serves me correct, to declare yourself a United States citizen is actually a fucking crime, all right? So, you're engaged in criminal activity when you declare yourself to be a United States citizen, by the way. That's why you're always fucking guilty until you prove yourself innocent, and nobody proves themselves innocent because they're using false and fictitious conveyance of language and a false and fictitious title that doesn't belong to them, and they're also using a false and fictitious unregistered business name to do business in, okay? So you're guilty. And even if you're found to be innocent, guess what? You're still fucking guilty, all right? But they're through their simulated legal processes, they got to let some people go to make it appear as though there is some form of justice and that people are free for the most part, you know. Every once in a while, somebody gets to leave the slaughterhouse virtually unscathed, all right? So they can go around and boast about how, I beat the system. I know some shit. And I've even been guilty of that, realizing they just use me as a fucking pawn, boasting about the things that I've been able to accomplish, when in reality, in their simulated legal fucking process and their simulated reality of the fiction, if you will, they just merely let me do that so they can rope in 50,000 other fucking nuts that seem to follow me because I'm articulate, right? So let me show you the proper way of asserting yourself so you don't have to deal with these jackasses anymore, all right? Owing allegiance to the government of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, a federal corporation by their own definitions, and not the people of the state of the Union, who are called the United States of America, okay? The Union of States. That, in a nutshell, explains one of the statutory of the nationals that is exhibited throughout their writs, okay? And that is known as a statutory national and citizen of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, a volunteer subject who fills an office of the District of Columbia, the District of Criminals, okay? Let's move on to number 2. Second definition that they recognize for a national, okay, is a statutory national, but not a citizen of the United States. So you're still bound by the civil statutory laws, although you're not part of Title 28, 3002, 15A, okay? At birth, where United States or U.S. means a federal United States. 2.1, a civil status because it uses the word citizen and is therefore tied to a geographical place. 2.2, defined in Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1408, Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101A 22B, and Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1452. 2.3, born anywhere American Samoa or Swanee Island, Swains Island, S-W-A-I-N-S, Swains Islands, okay? 2.4, may not participate politically in federal elections or as federal jurists. 2.5, owe allegiance to the government of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, okay, and not the people of the state of the Union, who are called the United States of America. Okay, the Union of States is the United States of America. It's also articulated in the Federalist. The very word, the first word, and the first letter in every word is capitalized. So the is capitalized. Excuse me, that is a misnomer. I'll redact that last statement. The first word is capitalized. The United is all lowercase. States is proper uppercase, lowercase, and of America, obviously, all right? Proper way of articulating the proper de jure United States of America according to the Federalist Papers. And that's in, I believe it's Article 1, Section 1 of the Federalist Papers. Now, this is 11 years of knowledge crammed into my head, and I'm just doing this on the fucking fly, so go check my work. Make sure that I'm not losing my mind or my memory, okay? Don't just take my fucking word for it. Go look it up. Number 3, the third definition for a national that's recognized by Title 28, 3002, 15A, the federal corporation, okay? They have to take judicial notice of it and recognize it because, after all, they fucking created it, okay? So this is the third definition for statutory national of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, B, and C, the federal corporation, okay? 3.1, a political status not tied to a geographical place. Allegiance can exist independent of geography. 3.2, defined in Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101A22, okay? 3.3, includes statutory citizens of the United States, Title 28, 3002, Washington, D.C., District of fucking Columbia, right? Defined in Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101A22A, and 3.4, includes a person who, though not a citizen of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, all right, owes permanent allegiance to the United States. Okay, we're talking about the District of Criminals again, defined in Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101A22B. The use of the term person is suspicious because only humans, only man, can owe an allegiance and not creations of Congress called persons, all of whom are offices in the government. If it means a constitutional person or constitutional man, then it is okay, because all constitutional persons, man, are man, flesh and blood, man, living sentient beings. The fourth definition, and this is the one that you should really pay acute attention to detail to, is the constitutional national for the United States of America. Okay, with the constitutional protections, that is a state national, protected not only by the state constitutions, but as a member of the Union of States, who has made a declaration of where they hail from, what allegiance they have, and what their allegiance is to. Now, in the Federalist Papers, it's the United States of America. Okay, it is not just United States, and those people are members of the Union of States and the more perfect union that was formed between the United States and the United States of America. All right, that's real important to know. Most people don't realize that in the Constitution, that the more perfect union that was formed was between the United States of America and the United States. One being a corporate charter and the other one being a de jure form of government, okay? Constitutional National of the United States of America, state nationals, okay? The state, the word state, the first letter will always be capitalized because that's showing the sovereignty of the people. When it's a lowercase s, it's diminished in its status. When it has a proper case, capital S in the beginning of state, they are talking, directly speaking to the people, okay, or about the people. State nationals, and nationals, believe it or not, is not all capital letters, or a capital letter when it is stated in such a fashion. It is a lowercase, nationals, okay, or nationals of the United States of America, okay. 4.1, a political status not tied to a geographical place. Allegiance can exist independent of geography. 4.2, defined under federal law pursuant to Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101A21 under law of nations. This is fucking important. Law of nations, and everybody, I implore you to go read it. Under state laws and under USA Constitution, the United States of America's Constitution for the United States of America. 4.3 is equivalent to the term state citizen. 4.4, in general, born in any one of the several states of the Union, but not in a federal territory, possession, or the district of fucking criminals. Not domiciled in the federal zone. Not under military occupation, okay? I'm a non-combatant, non-belligerent, non-enemy of the state. I am not engaged in war against the district of fucking criminals. I just want to help my brothers and sisters understand what they're doing. 4.5, not subject to the police power of the federal government or most acts of Congress. Now, I'll talk to you guys a little bit about some of the acts later on that do apply to the people that Congress has enacted. Most of those are protections that have been put in place, okay? They're never really edicts or directives to the people. They're more along the lines of guidelines for the federal government or the corporation saying, whoa, 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 whoa. This is something you cannot do, especially when you encounter somebody who's knowledgeable about who they are, who owes an allegiance to the state, who is a member of the Union of States, to form a more perfect union, who is protected by not only the state constitution, but also the federal constitution that is put in place. Commercially speaking, their charter does not give them the authority to lord over you, period. So that's the acts that they're referencing here about the Congress. 4.6, owes allegiance to the sovereign people. Remember, when you're taking an allegiance to the state, it's not the state in an abstract form. It's to your fellow brothers and sisters in your communities, in your county, in your state, to uphold and protect and defend their rights, to make sure that everybody is treated equal, that equal protection of the law falls upon everybody and graces everybody, right? In order to do that, we have to pledge our allegiance to our fellow brothers and sisters to ensure that nobody encroaches upon their unalienable rights, collectively and individually, within the body politic of the constitutional state residing in. 4.7, may serve as a state jurist or grand jurist involving only parties with his same citizenship and domicile status. That's why you can never be part of a jury trial. You can only be part of a trial by way of jury, period. And in the Constitution, it tells you what it takes to get there, ladies and gentlemen. Grand jury indictment, a petite jury, right? 4.8, may vote in state elections as an elector, not a voter, an elector. 4.9, at this time, all state nationals are also USA nationals, but not all USA nationals are a state national. For example, a U.S. national not residing nor domiciled in a state of the Union, okay, 4.10, is a man or woman whose unalienable natural rights are recognized, secured, and protected by his state constitution against state actions and against federal intrusions by the Constitution for the United States of America. All right, supported by the Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitutions. 4.11 includes state nationals because you cannot get a USA passport without this status per Title 22, USC, subsection 212, and Title 22, CFR, subsection 51.2. Statutory U.S. citizens under Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1401 and Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101 A22A have civil privileges. Remember, if they're telling you you have privileges, it's civil statutory law that they're imposing upon you. Whoa, hold the cart. I'm going to need to do a writ of quo warranto to find out where the fuck you guys think that you have authority to classify me as a specific or special class of person under the edicts of Title 28, 3002, 15A, B, and C. That I fill an office and that you have the ability to lord over me for your private law, identified as like public policy, okay? Walmart has policy. When I walk into the doors of Walmart, their policy doesn't apply to me, because I have not entered into a contract with Walmart, right? So because I didn't enter into a contract with Walmart, their policy doesn't affect me, such as their mask mandate. That affects only their employees. Now, you don't force me to wear a mask and treat me as though I'm an employee without negotiating how much I am worth per hour. I can guarantee you that your department that handles payroll is not going to like the fucking bill they see from me. Okay? You treat me like an employee, I put your fucking mask on, I'm going to bill you for my fucking time. Essentially what I'm saying is, without a contract, without knowingly, willingly, and intentionally subjecting yourself to the edicts of Walmart, you are under no contractual obligation to oblige. And if they discriminate against you because you won't wear a fucking mask, now you have grounds for a suit for trespass causing you harm by way of discrimination. Okay? They don't have the ability to tell you you can't come into a fucking building because you don't have a mask on. And there's a number of different ways that I can articulate that. And basically it's because SARS-CoV-2 has never been fucking properly isolated, which means it doesn't fucking exist. All right? And there's a lot of RN nurses out there that get so mad at me. Oh, Derek, you just don't know. Oh, yeah, I'm sure I don't know. I don't know how to fucking read. I'm not very intelligent. I just don't quite understand the CDC and how they fucking function. And I don't understand the World Health Organization because I've read nothing about them. I don't understand the fact that they've never isolated SARS-CoV-2 and can't prove it in a court of fucking law, meaning they have sufficient, perfected evidence that is indisputable, not to mention the United States Health Organization and its administrators throughout the 50 states cannot fucking provide me any information that SARS-CoV-2 has been isolated in a dead body and cultivated in a cultured petri dish and been able to specifically prove the proteins and everything else and the molecular structure of it. So I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Meanwhile, for you nurses and doctors out there, keep fucking pumping people full of remdesivir, yeah? Because, fuck, that doesn't cause inflammation in the lungs where people drown on their own fucking bodily fluids. Yeah, just keep doing that, why don't you? You know, just take the advice from that fucking weasel that's always on TV. What the fuck is his name? I can't even remember it anymore. Little weasel rat bastard. Fucking mass genocide motherfuckers. So again, civil privileges, if they're telling you that civil statutes are applying to this case, some sort of benign statute that's vague, ambiguous, obtuse, doesn't fucking say anything in reality, if they're saying those apply to you, it's because they're presuming and assuming you to be a United States citizen. Welcome to the fucking show. Welcome to the game. Not rights. Now, as being identified as a national for the United States under Title 28, 3215A, you don't have any rights. You have waived your rights. Remember, if you don't make an issue out of it right the fuck away with a special appearance, guess what? You waived your rights, okay? And they're allowed to presume and assume that you are part of their jurisdiction, okay? And that their edicts do apply to you. So let's nip that in the butt right away with a special appearance, letting them know that, hey, whoa, Scooter, I have an allegiance to the people of the state. I have an allegiance to the state as a union state member, Union of States. And the Constitution absolutely will be invoked in this cause of action. And because of that, we're going to go ahead and change this jurisdiction of this court because you're way out of your fucking league, Scooter. All right? Not rights, but privileges under federal law that are similar but inferior to the natural rights that state citizens have in state courts. I say, almost because civil rights are created by Congress and can be taken away by Congress or their little fucking cronies and goons. Statutory U.S. citizens are privileged, subject servants. You receive no pay, by the way, because you are volunteering of Congress under their protection as a resident ward of a federal state. Okay, what is a federal state? Federal state is a territory, a federal enclave. Guam, Samoa, Outer Minor-Lying Islands, Puerto Rico, right? Okay, Washington, D.C. That's a federal state, okay? But you were never born there. You don't have an allegiance. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you do out of your own ignorance. Maybe you didn't desire that, but because you weren't educated, you checked off on a W-4 that you were a United States citizen, and that fucked you. Maybe you ought to correct that record. Hey, I made a mistake. Just let you know I'm doing a rescission of signature. I'm vacating that document. I am terminating it effective immediately. I want you guys to go ahead and clean up that record. Clean up that record. Let the record reflect. I'm a state national. I am not a volunteer subject serf slave to the District of Criminals, and nor will I be identified that way anymore after ascending of the mind and realizing what I had done in my own ignorance, right? So you can correct the record, which is important. If you had the power to create the record, you also have the power to amend the record and correct it. A person enfranchised to the federal government, the incorporated United States, defined in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. The individual union state may not deny to these persons any federal privileges or immunities that Congress has granted to them within acts of Congress or federal statutes. Excuse me. Federal citizens come under admiralty law, international law. when litigating in federal courts. As such, they do not have inalienable or unalienable common rights recognized. Period. Don't fucking have them. If you are being classified and identified as a U.S. subject slave to the District of Criminals, you have no fucking rights. Period. Secured and protected in federal courts by the Constitution of the states or of the Constitution for the United States of America. Notice I didn't say for the United States, but for the United States of America, such as allodial absolute rights to property, the rights to inheritance, the rights to work and contract, and the rights to travel, among others. Another important element of citizenship is the artificial entities. That artificial entities, like corporations, are citizens for the purpose of taxation, but cannot be citizens for any other purpose. A corporation is a citizen, resident, or inhabitant of the state or country by or under the laws of which it was created, and of that state or country only. 19 Corpus Juris Secundum, corporations, subsection 886. They only have jurisdiction and authority over the things they fucking create. And they weren't there during fornication and copulation. They weren't wiping the sweat off your pops' balls, and they weren't wiping the sweat off your mama's forehead, all right? The day you got shot out of a cannon, went to the party with your dad, got shot out of a cannon, ended up going home with your mom, and 9 months later you were born, they had no fucking part of. That's an act of God. They call that, selective, there's a word for it anyway. Anyway, needless to say, your mom and dad fancied each other, whether they were inebriated or not. One thing led to another, and boom, boom, bang, 9 months later, there you are. What I'm trying to articulate is the government wasn't there when you were created. They had no part in the creation of you. You are a creation and manifestation of God, the Heavenly Father, and because of that, you are outside their jurisdiction, all right? What are you reading from, brother? This is Forms and Publications. This is a memorandum of law, and it is why you are a national, state national, and constitutional, but not statutory citizen. And that's what I'm reading from. There's a shit ton of documents, but I'm going to change the subject matter in the next couple of videos because I got some other things that I want to get into. I want to get into the Law of Nations and how they, in 1871, subverted from the original organic constitution. And even before that, really, it was like 1781 that they subverted from the organic constitution. So the subject matter is going to change, but yes, that's the document. Why you are a national, state national, and constitutional, but not statutory citizen. A corporation is not a citizen within the meaning of that provision of the Constitution, which declares that the citizen of each state shall be entitled to all the privileges and immunities of the citizens of the several states. Paul versus Virginia, 8 Wall, U.S., 168, 19, L period, ED period, 357, 1868. We have, now, what else was I promised people I'd keep the video shorter, so I will. Fuck it. We're going to go a little deeper into this. I hope, and I don't want you to do a knee-jerk reaction and start firing off paperwork to all these fucking people. I want you to really think about this and scrutinize it and make a decision that resonates well with your heart, all right? Legal basis for constitutional, national, or state national status. The following subsections describe a state national or constitutional national within the context of the title of this document. For the purposes of this discussion, state national and constitutional national are equivalent. 11.1. What is a constitutional national or state national? State nationals are referred to with any of the following synonymous names. Statutory, so statutorily defined. Now, don't get this confused. Just because it's statutorily defined We're not referencing it because statutes apply to you. We're referencing the statutory definition and being defined through statutory as a way for you to say, this is what your system recognizes, and this is how I am classified or to be perceived and received. So statutorily, it is defined as a non-resident, non-person, if not engaged in a public office. What do they mean by public office? Well, public office is somebody who is elected to take an office, has got independently bonded, sworn an oath and allegiance to the District of fucking Criminals, and now fills a public office, okay? That's what they're talking about when they're talking about filling a public office. Number 2, statutorily defined non-resident aliens under the Internal Revenue Code as defined in Title 26 U.S.C. subsection 7701 B1B if engaged in a public office. And again, we're talking about what is a constitutional national or state national, okay? And we're talking about the synonymous names that are given to the constitutional nationals and state nationals. American citizen with a capital C in citizen, okay? American national, naturalized or born in a constitutional state of the Union and domiciled in a constitutional state of the Union. And number 6, national under Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101 A21. All right? Nationals existed under the law of nations. And this is why I'm telling you that everybody should start to go read the law of nations. Now, it is a pretty simple read. It appears for all intents and purposes to be written at a 5th grade level. Some of the stuff that I read to you guys is way above a 5th grade level. And to be honest with you, in many cases, I have to read it 5, 6, 8, maybe even 12 fucking times before I start to understand the actual context that is being presented. Okay? Nationals existed under the law of nations and international law since long before the passage of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution in 1868. There are 2 main types of nationals under federal law, as we revealed in sections 412 to 12 of the Great IRS Hoax. Table 14, types of nationals under federal law. Legal name, national but not citizen of the United States, District of Columbia at birth. America, Samoa, Swanee Islands, or Swanee's Islands. Defined in Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1408, Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1101 A22B, and also defined in Title 8 U.S.C. subsection 1452B. Okay? U.S. national, U.S. national, means that you belong to you're pledging your allegiance to the District of fucking Criminals, okay? Statutory U.S. national, a statutory U.S. national, again, the civil constructs of law and edicts from the legislator and the Congress apply to you if that is how you wish to identify. Now, I don't have anything against U.S. citizens. You want to be a U.S. citizen? Fuck it. Go be a U.S. citizen all day long. Pay your fucking taxes. Quit your fucking bitching. Just going to give you forewarning. The Democratic and Republican Party are one and the same. They're a fucking fox in the hen house, and they are devouring the essence of all your equity. So, you want to be a U.S. citizen? More power to you. Okay? You're part of the problem, not the solution, but far be it from me to tell you how to live your life. The U.S. Supreme Court, which, remember, they changed what the original organic Constitution said, because it should be the one Supreme Court. All power vested in the one Supreme Court. Now, all of a sudden, under the Reorganization Act, we have the U.S. Supreme Court. Okay, so pay attention to that. These little Jesuitical tricks of changing things are very, very fucking essential to understand. The U.S. Supreme Court and the Constitution, all these people, citizens of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, federal enclaves, federal territories, Guam, Samoa, the outer minor lying islands. Section 18.7, later for details, used on the 1040 NR, non-resident form, to describe people who file that form, does not describe people who are not born in the federal United States. Okay? The legal name, USA national, okay? USA national, United States of America, or state nationals, or constitutional but not statutory U.S. citizens, okay? They throw these little tricks in here, all right? And so if statutory citizen throws you off a little bit, don't let it, because constitutional but not statutory U.S. citizen. When you fill out the DS-11 and you're getting your passport, there are a lot of important things in there. And one of the things that Mr. Anonymous pointed out to me, because I was a little illiterate at the time, well, a lot illiterate at the time, there is a section in there in the instructions, which many people don't read, because fuck it, we're going to Bali, we're going to the Bahamas, we're going to Jamaica, hurry up, fill that shit out, we're running behind schedule, don't read anything, just fill it out. That's a mistake, because in there you are supposed to line out what does not apply to you. And when you just fill out that application and you don't go through the DS-11 and read the instructions and complete the instructions, it's a litmus test. And when you don't do what you're supposed to do, which is read, comprehend, and understand what you're doing, you admit to being a drug dealer, you admit to being engaged in human trafficking, the trafficking of children, and you admit to being a felon and a number of other things. And thus, the passport that is issued to you is a passport that does not signify your nationality, and it does not signify that you are a free man. It does not signify, when you get it back, that you are a member of the State of the Union or Union of States, okay, owing an allegiance to a state. What it actually shows is that you're a criminal, okay, and they're granting you a privilege to be able to go to and from. So when you're filling out for your passport application, it may behoove you to read Title 8 USC subsection, where born, States of the Union, Title 8 USC, subsection 1101, A21, 14th Amendment, Section 1, it's the first sentence. Common name, state national or USA national or national of the United States of America, okay, protected by the state constitution, as well as the more perfect union formed between the United States of America and the United States. The national or state national is not necessarily the same as the U.S. national above, because it includes people who born in states of the Union. Notice that this term does not mention Title 8 USC subsection 1408 citizenship, nor confine itself only to citizenship by birth in the federal zone. Therefore, it also includes people born in the in the states of the Union. All right. I want to get to this important part here. Boop, 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 boop. We are there, alas. The state national of the United States of America, okay, protected by the Constitution and the state constitution, the Federalist Papers, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Or USA national or constitutional national is one who derives his nationality and allegiance to the Confederation of the United States of the Union, called the United States of America, by virtue of being born in a state of the Union. To avoid false presumptions, these people should carefully avoid associating their citizenship status with the term United States. Okay, it's dangerous because the term United States is vague and ambiguous to some degree, because there are multiple definitions for United States, or U.S. U.S is, again, the military side of things. United States is the federal corporation side of things. And then you have the United States of America, Union of States, tying you back to the constitutions, the preamble, the Federalist Papers, so on and so forth. So that would be between 1776 and 1781, if my memory serves me correctly. And that's the beautiful thing about equity. Equity is a time traveler. You get the leisure and pleasure, because you're becoming learned, of traveling back in time and grabbing your citizenship status and bringing it forward and present to today, and asserting yourself and asserting your rights through an asseveration or a declaration of who you are and where your allegiance lies. And now you're no longer stateless, okay? which means the federal zone within X of Congress. Federal zone. The area of land over which the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, federal territories, federal zone, federal enclaves, Guam, Samoa, Virgin Islands, Outer Minor Lying Islands, Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. Criminals. Government exercise exclusive or general jurisdiction under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. This is telling you where they're getting their authority for the fucking federal zone. All right? This is where the edicts come into play if you are a presumed and assumed statutory citizen. Okay? A United States citizen. So, when they're administering things and they're saying that it applies to you, they're saying that you fall under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. It would behoove you to rebut and rebuke that presumption and fucking assumption. Or don't and go to jail and be at the whim of psychopath motherfuckers who are unjustly enriching themselves through taxation without representation, alleging that somehow you owe a duty to follow their private fucking law, private fucking policies. This area includes the District of Criminals, Columbia, and the territories and possessions of the United States, Title 28, 3002, 15A, for the purposes of this discussion. We do not treat the territorial waters of the United States as federal land, but they too are under the exclusive jurisdiction of the U.S. government, militarized zone, okay, as well. Now, it's real interesting. Lindsey Graham came out 2013, and he said the homeland is a battlefield. Yes, indeed he did, right on national television. Shortly before Justice Scalia's untimely demise, he came forward and he said in 2015, very soon, United States citizens will be rounded up and put in FEMA camps. That's a nice way of telling you he's getting ready, that he sees what's in the future, that U.S. citizens are going to be wrapped up and put in concentration camps. That's what a FEMA camp is. This is a concentration camp, okay? And he said that in 2015, right before his untimely demise. Many people believe that he was murdered, and he may have been, being that he was exposing the shit that I'm talking about right now. If you don't believe me, you can go look all that shit up. It's out there. It's published, okay? It's plain as fucking day. So, if the homeland is a battlefield, and their homeland is a federal enclaves, federal territories, District of Columbia, they're always at war. They're in a perpetual state of war all the time because war is profitable. So take it for what it's worth. You decide whether or not you want to support that nonsense and jargon under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, and whether you want to subject yourself to it. You do have a choice. Therefore, instead of calling themselves U.S. nationals, they call themselves either state nationals or USA nationals, United States of America nationals. By USA, instead of U.S., we mean the states of the Union who are party to the Constitution and exclude, and when we say Constitution, we're talking about the organic Constitution, pre-1781, all right? And exclude any part of the federal zone. In terms of protection of our rights, being a state national or a U.S. national are roughly equivalent. The non-citizen national of the U.S., okay, the Title 28, 3002, 15A federal enclaves and territories status, however, has several advantages that the state national status does not enjoy. One, may not collect any Social Security benefits because the Social Security program operation manual states POMS section GN 303.1 states that only U.S. citizens, okay, U.S. citizens that are part of the District of Criminals and U.S. nationals, again, District of Criminals, can collect benefits. State nationals are not U.S. nationals, so you don't get that benefit. Remember, if you take advantage of the benefit, you also bear the burden, okay? Number 2, may hold U.S. security clearances, unlike state nationals. State nationals don't get security clearances, okay? All right? And that is SECNAVINST 5510.30A, Appendix I, Department of the Navy. All right? And that's where you can find that you will get no security clearances if you're a state national. The Navy, who's in charge of admiralty law, okay, some of the best. I mean, they're out there on the waters all the time. You would think they would be absolutely fucking superb at understanding admiralty law, right? And it's right out of their own manual. And number 3, may work for the federal government as a civil servant. See Title 5 CFR subsection 338.101. 11.2, constitutional or state citizen. The term state citizen and state national are equivalent. For instance, if you were born in California, you would be called a California national or Californian. Okay, according to the Government Styles Manual, 2016, page 95, chapter 5, it clearly articulates, if you're a state national, the proper connotation or articulation of how to declare that on paper. The basis for this name is found in Title 8 USC subsection 1101A21, which says in pertinent part, Title 8, Chapter 12, Subchapter 1, Section 1101, definitions. A, as used in this chapter. 21. The term national means a person owing a permanent allegiance to a state. Okay? To a state, not Washington, D.C., to a state. All right? And it's not the state of, it's to a state. So it wouldn't be permanent allegiance to the state of Arizona, because state of Arizona is a subsidiary corporation of Washington, D.C., District of fucking Criminals. Okay? It would be an allegiance to Arizona, period. State national owes permanent allegiance to his state. What is the state? The state is the people. Okay? If he also wants to be a U.S. national, protected by the federal Constitution, right, for the United States of America, are articulated in the Federalist Papers and supported by the law of nations, then he must also have allegiance to the Confederation, the Federalist Papers, of states, called the United States, under Title 8 USC subsection 1101A21. A citizen of the United States is a citizen of the federal government and of the state in which he resides, and one possessing such double citizenship owes allegiance and is entitled to the protections from each sovereign to whose jurisdiction he is subject. No fortifying authority is necessary to sustain the protection, the proposition that the United States a double citizenship exists. A citizen of the United States is a citizen of the federal government and at the same time a citizen of the state in which he resides. Determination of what is qualified residence within a state is not here necessary. Suffice it to say that one possessing such double citizenship owes allegiance and it entitled to the protection from each sovereign to whose political but not legislative jurisdiction he is subject. Kitchens versus Steele, 112 F period SUPP period 383, 1953. We also use the term national or state national in this book. These people are those who obtain their federal citizenship by virtue of being born in a state of the Union. State national is a term we invented because there is no standard term to describe these people within the legal field. Okay, lawful and legal are two different realms. Since federal statutes cannot and do not recognize events which happen within sovereign states, they do not mention this status, but it certainly exists. And it exists under the law of nations. Vattel Book 1, Section 212. which is what the founders used to write the U.S. Constitution and which is recognized in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 10 of that document. The reason federal statutes do not and cannot mention the citizenship status of persons born in states of the Union is because these states are sovereign nations and foreign countries with respect to the federal government under the law of nations. Under the law of nations, the federal government does not have the authority delegated by the Constitution to prescribe or even define the citizenship status of the people born in states of the Union. Here are some examples of cases from the Supreme Court which confirm this conclusion. It has been repeatedly held by the Supreme Court of the United States that a state may determine the status of persons within its jurisdiction. Groves v. Slaughter, 15 PET 419, Moore v. Illinois, 14 HOW, 13 and 11 Pet 131, Story Constitution, subsection 1098, 1804 and 1809. Doc Loans v. State, 59 Tennessee, 287 and 1871. The question now agitated depends upon another question: whether the state of Pennsylvania, since the 26th of March, 1790, when the Act of Congress was passed, has a right to naturalize an alien. And this must receive its answer from the solution of the third question: whether, according to the Constitution of the United States, the authority to naturalize is exclusive or concurrent. We are of the opinion, then, that the states individually still enjoy a concurrent authority upon this subject, but that their individual authority cannot be exercised so as to contravene the rule established by the authority of the Union. The true reason for investing Congress with the power of naturalization has been assigned at the bar. It was to guard against too narrow instead of too liberal a mode of conferring the rights of citizenship. Thus, the individual states cannot exclude those citizens who have been adopted by the United States, but they can adopt citizens upon easier terms than those which Congress may deem it expedient to impose. But the Act of Congress itself furnishes a strong proof that the power of naturalization is concurrent. In the concluding provisions, it is declared that no person heretofore prescribed by any state shall be admitted as a citizen as aforesaid, except by an act of the legislator of the state, in which such person was prescribed. Here we find that Congress has not only circumcised the exercise of its own authority, but has recognized the authority of the state legislator in one case, to admit a citizen of the United States, which could not be done in any case if the power of naturalization, either by its own nature or by the manner of its being vested in the federal government, was an exclusive power. Collette versus Collette, 2 U.S. 294, 1 L.ED. 387, 1792. State citizens cannot be subject in state courts to any jurisdiction of law outside the common law, meaning that if there isn't a man or woman or real party in interest bringing a cause of action against you, the case must be dismissed for want of prosecution, for filing a frivolous claim for which relief cannot be granted because I'm appearing by special appearance, letting everybody know that I carry and hold the status of a state national protected by the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, motherfuckers. Right? Pay attention. Special appearance is important. Let them know who the fuck you are, because if you don't tell them who you are, guess what? They're going to define who you are. And then your actions will prove that, well, you're mentis, your mental status is just not there, okay? And so they take you in like a little baby, and they're going to take care of you because you're of unsound mind, a mental ward of the state, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to handle your affairs as a man, you don't understand what freedom is, you just don't have a fucking clue. We can go ahead and coddle you and take care of you as trustees. We're going to fleece your fucking estate. Might put you in a nut house. Might put you in a jail for a little while, to make sure that you're okay. People think it's a punishment. They don't view it as a punishment. They don't view it as a punishment at all. You have just gotten a privilege. A 3-night stay at the Iron Hotel. Fuck. You got 3 hots and a cot. Room service, for fuck's sake. And everybody's like, oh, that's just bullshit. Well, believe it or not, they consider that a benefit. You accepted a benefit. And because they're trustees administering your estate under the national bankruptcy, guess what? They're going to get paid too. Without their knowing and willing consent, after full disclosure of the terms and conditions, and such consent must be under agreement contract sealed by signature. This is because the Constitution is a compact contract created and existing in the jurisdiction of the common law. Therefore, any rights secured thereunder or disabilities limiting the powers of government also exist in the common law and in no other jurisdiction provided for in that compact. It's also supported by the law of nations. Very good thing to know. Both state citizens and federal citizens are Americans. Statutory U.S. citizens described within acts of Congress are residents in the federal zone. That resident thing is a bad, bad word. All right. In the federal zone and are privileged aliens. What did I tell you guys about privileges? Papa give you the keys. Papa take the keys away. Remember that. In relation to the state of the union wherein they reside. Statutory citizens are domiciled in their state and not aliens in their state. They also do not reside in their state. They are instead citizens domiciled in their state. The only people who are residents in regards to the Internal Revenue Code are aliens domiciled on federal territory. Remember, if you're in a federal territory, they're presuming and assuming or perceiving or receiving that you're on a federal territory. That is a bad place to be. You better move your knight, move your rook, move your queen, move your king, and get the fuck out of that federal territory. How do you do that? By putting an affidavit and a declaration on the record, by doing a negative averment, by filing into the court case a special appearance, notice of special appearance of who you are, where your allegiance lies, that you're a creation from God, that your domicile, your permanent residence is the kingdom of heaven, perhaps. I don't know. That's where mine is. I don't know where yours is. You have to decide that for yourself. But I know one thing. If they don't create it, they don't get the right to dictate over it, because all men are created equal, and equal protection of the law falls upon everybody, except for the ones that are of unsound mind that really don't know who the fuck they are. In the state, or non-residents occupying federal enclaves, also called federal areas within the states. The distinction may seem insignificant to you, but it is not to the court. A state citizen has the right to travel in each of the 50 union states. He/she can file papers at any county courthouse in any state and become a citizen of that state. Nearly all federal statutes, laws, do not apply to state citizen nationals. If the authority for the statute can be found in the organic constitution, then and only then the statute is of a national character, as it applies to both state citizens and aliens. Acts of Congress do not protect the constitutional rights of state citizens. Only state law serves this purpose. Within these decisions and many others that might be cited before us, it is vain to contend that the federal Constitution secures to a citizen of the United States the right to work at a given occupation or particular calling free from injury, oppression, or interference by individual citizens. Even though such right be a natural and inalienable right, the duty of protecting the citizen in the enjoyment of such right, free from the individual interference, rests alone with the state. Hoggs versus United States, 203 U.S. 1, 27 S. CT. 6. This case was had in 1906. If the rights of a citizen, state citizen, are being violated directly by the federal officer or indirectly by third-party interveners who the federal officers who the federal officer is in contact with, the appropriate place to litigate to protect those rights is only in a state court. Federal courts are Article 4 of the Constitution, territorial and administrative courts, which only have jurisdiction over the federal zone for nearly all acts of Congress. And the federal zone is not covered by the Bill of Rights. We call the federal zone the plunder zone. Throughout this book, and state citizens have absolutely no business whatsoever going into these courts, because doing so needlessly confers unfounded jurisdiction upon the court over their lives and their fortunes. We also show in great IRS hoax that federal judges are either incompetent or malicious or both when it comes to protecting the rights of state nationals. So, you ought to distance yourself to be as far away as possible from these tyrants. And this is especially true in regards to matters relating to federal taxation. With that, I will let you guys go. We'll come back later and talk some more. I'm going to start to shift the conversation. We're going to get into some other literature in the upcoming videos. And I hope these videos on status have really helped you out, or at least given you a place to start to do your research. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk to you soon.